Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is Sunday night, November 25th, 2018, and tonight's topic, Ohio to accept Bitcoin for payment of taxes. Before we get into that, let's take a look at the cryptocurrency scene. Bitcoin has rebounded a bit. It had fallen from 4,100 down to about 3,500 and has since rebounded back to 3,945, up 4.14%. Bitcoin Cash still under $200 at 179, up only 3%. Ethereum above $100 at 114 at plus 4.05%. Litecoin had fallen down to nearly $25 at now at $30.46. That's up 7%. And Ethereum Classic under $5 now at $4.68. So we've seen quite a, I would say, a capitulation in the crypto sector, especially strange at a time when we have coming up a big crypto conference early next week at which Bakkt will be there. They've said they're going to start their registered, physically delivered Bitcoin exchange. That's backed by New York Stock Exchange, Microsoft. Fidelity is going to be launching their cryptocurrency exchange coming up early in the first quarter of 2019. TD Ameritrade to do the same. And it just seems all too convenient that you have this drop in the prices, and it seems like it's a very good marketing scheme now for the Wall Street marketers to say, look, think you missed the crypto gains? You can now get in at the ground floor again. Fully regulated platforms, exchanges, and insured storage. So we'll see how it all plays out, but it is quite a drop in the cryptocurrencies, which of course is leading a lot of people to believe that this is it. It's all over. It's done. People are out there saying they called it, which they've been calling for the last 5 years. It's interesting to see. I think Peter Schiff said that back when the price was $325, that it was a Ponzi scheme and it was a tulip bubble and it was set to collapse. Well, okay. It didn't collapse at $325. And now, of course, the price has gone down and they're all taking victory laps. And I, too, back in 2014, I argued that after the Bitcoin price, fell at that point, that that was it. I used the price had gone down to myself, down to $350. That was evidence. The price was evidence after the price had been $1,200, $1,100. Well, now it's at $350. That's evidence that I was right, that Bitcoin was worthless. However, since then, billions of dollars of investment and innovation have moved into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And I don't think the price is evidence of anything other than sentiment and, of course, manipulation. Because whatever pie in the sky Bitcoin is supposed to achieve, it's further along in achieving that today than it was a year ago or so on. So the price of Bitcoin to me doesn't indicate whether it's a success or a failure, whether it's going to go up or it's going to go down. And the people that are cheering on the price decline to prove that they're right, they're predicting further price declines. And then on the flip side, as the price goes higher, people cheering on the price to go higher say it's going to go higher because it's going higher. No one knows how to value cryptocurrencies. They go up, they go down, and the price means absolutely nothing as to the health of, or whatever metrics you may wish to use. So we'll see how it all breaks down. But let's see it quickly. If we could check out the gold price before we get to our top story. Yeah, gold's at $1,223. It's up $1.50 from Friday. It's just opening after the markets now. Silver's at $14.28. That's up 3 cents. So we're pretty much flat in the after hours. All right, let's get to our top story on Ohio is going to start accepting Bitcoin in payment of taxes.
Uh-oh, we got a moron here.
Presenting the distinguished international news commentator and foreign correspondent,
Smaulgld. This has been an extraordinary week in world affairs.
No, I told Hillary Clinton that that's moronic.
Okay, announced today, Ohio to accept Bitcoin for payment of taxes. This was in the Wall Street Journal. But first, remember, get your beer mug today. 60% off. It's going to go away today. You won't be able to get this beautiful beer mug again for this price. It's $10. All right. So Ohio is now going to accept Bitcoin for the payment of taxes. And it was announced today in the Wall Street Journal that they are going to allow business filers to pay their taxes via Bitcoin. And if you go to the site Ohio Crypto, I'll give you the link right here, and you guys can follow along with me if you're so inclined, but I'll read it out for those of you who cannot click on the link, don't want to click on the link, just like listening to my voice. There's the link. It allows you to go to the website, tell you who you are, if you're registered with the Ohio Revenue Service, you enter your tax payment information and then pay with crypto. Use your compatible cryptocurrency wallet to pay the invoice with Bitcoin. And it says all payments are processed by our third-party cryptocurrency payment processor, BitPay. Now, BitPay, I think, only accepts Bitcoin. It may accept other cryptocurrencies, but I can imagine if BitPay adds other cryptocurrencies, there's really no reason why Ohio wouldn't allow that either. Now, here's the thing. When you pay anything through a payment processor, the person who receives or the entity that is so-called accepting cryptocurrencies, they have an option. They don't actually ever have to see the Bitcoin. They can have the payment processor convert it directly into dollars and they take the dollars. Or they can have on the front end, they say, look, you owe me $1,000. You type in how many Bitcoin and the little widget does it for you, and it says that you owe a quarter of a Bitcoin to get me my $1,000. You then hit the button, you send the quarter of a Bitcoin to the payment processor, and the payment processor, if it's got instructions from the recipient to turn that into cash, will then convert it into cash, keep the Bitcoin, and send you the $1,000. Or you can give the payment processor the instruction, I want $1,000. The person on the other end that wants to pay puts in his quarter of a Bitcoin, and the recipient tells BitPay, don't send me $1,000, send me the quarter of a Bitcoin, in which case BitPay would put that into the wallet for the recipient. So that looks like what Ohio is going to do. And that makes Bitcoin a currency. It doesn't make it money. It makes it a medium of exchange. And this is the thing I've been saying about these cryptocurrencies are they may not be necessarily stores of value, have intrinsic value, but they are useful as a means of exchange, and they're faster than exchanging, obviously, physical specie. And the guy who's in charge of this, the treasurer of the Ohio state, his name is Josh Mandel. He's been in office since 2011, and he's like a Bitcoin guy. And he says, I see Bitcoin as a legitimate form of currency, according to the Wall Street Journal. And he says he hopes other states will follow suit. Now, I don't know if there's really any reason why you wouldn't. I accept Bitcoin on my site. It's very easy to do. Litecoin, it doesn't really require you to even ever have to see Bitcoin. You don't have to have a wallet. You don't have to store anything. You just send it, and the payment processor does everything for you, and you get your cash. So that's why many bullion dealers will accept Bitcoin, because they don't have to accept Bitcoin. And there are people who do have these cryptocurrencies. They do have value, although they have less value today than 3 weeks ago. But still, there's significant value out there. If Bitcoin has a $75 billion market cap, theoretically, that's $75 billion worth of value that can be spent on goods and services if all you do is takes 5 minutes to set up a payment processor on your website, and you can then begin accepting Bitcoin. All right, well, that's pretty much it. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, the other thing is they're saying right now that eventually they're counting on letting individual filers take advantage of this service. Right now, they're only letting the businesses do so. I don't see why it's any different, but I guess they're starting with the businesses. I guess they don't want to overload the system, but I doubt many businesses. Again, I don't think that there's a lot of businesses that actually, even if they accept Bitcoin, are going to be holding Bitcoin and then need it to use to pay their taxes. That may be more the case with individuals. And the advantage of an individual paying their tax in Bitcoin is they don't then have to make the conversion into fiat and then take the fiat and then write the check or send the money. They eliminate a couple of steps there by sending the tax receipt directly to the taxing authority. Now, what people need to realize is that if you have a gain on that conversion, I believe, you check with your tax advisors, this is just me speculating, but I think this is right. If you were to pay your taxes to Ohio, when you send in your Bitcoin payment to the processor, that's a transaction, which I believe you'd have to count the gain or the loss on, because you've made a conversion into fiat. In a sense, you've sold your Bitcoin to pay your taxes. But at least you don't have to actually sell them, get the fiat, get it in your bank account, and then send it to the state and incur more fees. You can send the Bitcoin directly to the state of Ohio through the payment processor, and then therefore you'd have your payment obligations taken care of right then and there. All right, well, I wanted to get that out there because I think that's a significant development, and I do expect other states to follow that. There's really no reason not to offer it, because it's actually an advantage to the state, because now they know who has cryptocurrencies. It gives them more transparency. It allows them to see what's going on, and it also probably allows them, and who knows if they'll do it, but when the money or the Bitcoin goes through the payment processor, they may decide to hold on to some Bitcoin. Who knows? And that will take some Bitcoin out of circulation, and then they may sell it at later dates. Who knows? But that'll all have to be disclosed. So there'll be more and more Bitcoin out in the open, and I think that's all along what the governments want to do, is take Bitcoin out of the shadows, put it onto these regulated exchanges like Fidelity and TD Ameritrade and Backed, pay your taxes with it, put it into ETFs. They basically can probably shine a light on 70-80% of the outstanding Bitcoin, and in which sense they will have effectively co-opted it. And then for the Bitcoin that trades outside the system, well, they can go and trace that down if they think there's bad acting, tax evasion, money laundering, and so on. All right, let's see what you guys think. All right, let's see what we got today. Rock on, says Pablo Pena. Still waiting for his mug, I bet. He doesn't get to Canada very fast. What a difference a year makes, says La Plata Peak. Yes, indeed. Gold and silver know how to rock, says Pablo Pena. Fundamentally, and from a monetary perspective, is there any difference between Bitcoin and a bearer bond? Not from the holding perspective. A bearer bond means that you can go cash it anywhere. Same with Bitcoin, except that a bearer bond still requires there to be faith in the issuer, whereas Bitcoin doesn't have an issuer. But I guess if you wanted to draw the analogy and make it stick, you'd say you'd have to have faith in the issuer, which has to do with solvency. And if to have faith in the Bitcoin system, you'd have to have faith that there's people who want it. Bitcoin lost confidence. Okay, Seth Shepard is here. That's really cool about Bitcoin. Lewis, why don't you sell crypto wallets, small crypt game changer? I should probably try to see if I can get the, what is it, Treasure or what's the other one? Ledger. You could probably have the Smaulgld logo slapped onto there. You can sell those. They would be game changers. With Bitcoin payments, doesn't someone, says Roger Henley, end up holding the hot potato that no one wants when the price drops? I don't know how they manage their inventory, Roger, but payment processors have been around now, cryptocurrency payment processors, for a few years, and they appear to be profitable. So I don't know what they do when they get the crypto. What they probably do, what bullion dealers do, is when they receive a payment in crypto, they immediately, they bundle up the amounts that they're receiving over time. They immediately sell that amount short, so that basically they're not holding any risk on the price, and they're only taking, they only care about volume. So if they get a certain percentage in dollars on the trading or the processing of the Bitcoin, provided that they immediately short the Bitcoin that they buy, that's a wash, and then they just want to have the volume. That's what bullion dealers do when they buy inventory. They immediately, if they buy $50,000 worth of silver, they then go immediately and short $50,000 worth of silver. So if the price goes down, they can sell it at $45,000 and not lose money because they're going to make it up on the short. The difference, they're going to make the 5,000 on the short. And then the way they make their money is on the volume, the premiums that they charge on the $50,000 worth of silver. Hope that makes sense. I can explain it again if you want, but the idea is if anytime you buy something, you're effectively going long, to hedge your bets so that you're exactly hedged so it doesn't matter, you immediately, it wouldn't make sense if you're trying to make money, but if you're not trying to make money, you're just trying to not lose money, you immediately, when you buy something, you sell it at the same time. That's what futures contracts are good for. And therefore, you basically haven't bought any Bitcoin and you haven't sold any Bitcoin because the two wash each other out. And now you're free just to capture the trading volume fees that you're going to get. Okay. Selling Bitcoin, Bitcoin equals supply, who's buying? You know, Kevin, it's very interesting. It's just like the gold and silver markets. Clearly, there's more Bitcoin and Litecoin and everything being traded than there actually is outstanding. Now, first of all, there's only 17 million Bitcoins that have actually been mined so far. Okay, use that number. Then they say 3 or 4 million are lost. Okay, so now you're down to 12 million. Well, of the 12 million, the whole lot of it isn't available for sale. Most people are just holding on to it. Not everyone is selling those 12 million coins. And obviously, if there's 30 or 40 exchanges, they're obviously not selling all on one exchange. So each exchange has only got really a handful of coins they physically can trade. So what they do, and I'm sure they do, they say they're trading them, and they trade them back and forth, but there's no real, you don't have to back them one-to-one. It's just like paper contracts. I think if you buy on Coinbase, you can then trade the Bitcoin or Litecoin that you buy, but you can't take it off the exchange for 5 days. Well, that tells me they don't have it for you at the moment. They'll get it for you in 5 days. And I figure by then people have traded back and forth. So the same Bitcoin that they may not even have could get traded as many times as possible. And I'm not picking on Coinbase, but I think that's what a lot of them do is they can trade, and then you can short, and then you can make. You could do all kinds of tricks on these exchanges. So I don't know who's buying, who's selling. It's really who's buying and selling the price, and then actually who's taking delivery and putting these things in their wallets. And it looks like from, I look on the Twitter feeds at Litecoin Whale and the Bitcoin Whale, that there's a lot in the largest addresses, actual physical, they're not physical, but actual delivery into the wallets appears to be growing into what you would call the whale wallets. And that tells me that they're accumulating at the lower prices while the retail hodlers are dumping in panic. What happens if somebody rich bought all the Bitcoin? What happens to the price? Well, I thought of that. I mean, if everyone bought it, then it's the same thing like if everyone bought all the silver, like the Hunts brothers. Would there be a price? Would there be a market? Well, it'd be of no value whatsoever. I mean, I thought of that like 5 years ago. I said, well, what if a government just decided, well, we don't want this anymore. We're not going to shut it down. We're just going to buy all of it. And then, but what's interesting, though, now that after having said what I just said, you do see how they actually can trade Bitcoin that doesn't exist anyway. It's quite possible that someone could buy 90% of the Bitcoin. Let's say somebody could, and they have, and it's all in one wallet. They would still trade it. The 10% that was left, even if the 10% that was left, or the 5% was left, that 90% of the people never put it on the exchange, they would still trade in around the idea that they're trading Bitcoin back and forth, so there would still be a price. Prashanti Girl is here. Hello. Late again, says Pablo Pena. Prashanti Girl says the silver inflation stream was great yesterday. Thanks, Louis. Yes, if you missed that one, thank you. Go back and check that one out. We do a live stream here every night. We then put it up on BitChute afterwards. All right. Oh, she was here, but she couldn't type. Pablo Pena, Canada Post stopped delivery in gold and silver, and Customs saw Smaulgld on the package. They probably thought it was gold inside. That's why it's taking a while. That's right. I don't think this is the Bitcoin bottom. What do you all think? Who knows? Under 3, my opinion. Roger Henley, Wall Street want to buy Bitcoin very low. I'm expecting to see Bitcoin maybe 1,000. I think what happens in these cases is people are generally directionally correct, but they get off on the number. So, for example, Roger says 1,000. Maybe it's 2,800. Maybe it's 3,200. Maybe it's 2,000. Maybe, and then you miss you're directionally correct and you're waiting to, let's say you're waiting to buy, never gets to 1,000, and then it starts to creep up and creep up. You think, it's just a dead cat bounce. And next thing you know, it's $8,000 and you missed your chance. I'm not predicting any of that. I have no idea. I'm not trading. I'm not buying it. But I'm just saying that it's interesting how people become convinced on what they think the price is going to be. It's going to go to 3,000. It's going to go to 8,000. And really, no one knows. All right. Do people here like Litecoin too, says Seth Shepard. Well, we don't have Johnny Litecoin here tonight. He's a big Litecoin fan. Pablo Pina, what if they bought it, not make it obvious, and drip fed us? How do we know the Bitcoin is still not producing after 21 million? Well, that you could tell. You could tell what's in the, because there's blockchain info. There's a bunch of places where you can go and check. You can't sneak stuff around. It's still obvious. You just don't know who holds it, and you can't make more Bitcoin. So they can control the actual amount of Bitcoin, but what they can do, which obfuscates everything, that's why they want to do all this registered trading and registered exchange stuff, and even what they're doing now, you can trade far in excess of the amount that's out there, and that's what's happening now. That's what's happening in gold. You see how much notional amount of gold and silver they trade. They trade in, in a month, the average annual global mining supply of silver. They're trading around it. They're not really trading on a one-to-one basis. It's not like, here's my 10 Bitcoin and you give me the value of 10 Bitcoin, and then that goes to that person, then he decides. Only market that works that way is the OTC, the over the counter, where a miner may have thousands of Bitcoin and sell them at a negotiated price. But again, that price is based off what's going on in the exchanges. So, all right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. And make sure to get your Smaulgld mug tonight. If you like that mug, that is a steal, that frosted mug. And also, please consider becoming a Smaulgld patron. Thank you very much.